I know what brought you here tonight. Not because I'm psychic, not because I have some special gift, but because I know what it looks like. That look in someone's eyes when they're carrying something so heavy that even breathing feels like work. You've been waking up tired, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that settles into your bones, into your spirit, into that quiet place behind your chest where you keep everything you don't show the world. Maybe you've prayed. Maybe you've prayed more in the last few months than you have in years. And maybe, just maybe, you've wondered if those prayers were landing somewhere, or if they were just words dissolving into the ceiling of a dark room at 3 in the morning. I'm not here to give you a sermon. I'm here because something in you recognized something in the title of this video, and that something is worth listening to. There's a kind of weariness that doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from carrying too much for too long. And the hardest part isn't the weight itself, it's the silence around it. The feeling that nobody quite understands how heavy it's gotten. But here's what I want you to hold on to, even loosely, even with trembling fingers. There is something in the ancient words that has been waiting for exactly this moment in your life. Not the you from 10 years ago, not the you who had everything figured out. The you sitting here right now, with that ache you haven't named out loud. There's a passage, old, weathered, surviving centuries, that begins with a declaration so simple, it almost sounds impossible. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. I didn't choose those words. They chose this moment. Because trouble doesn't mean catastrophe. Sometimes trouble is just Tuesday. Sometimes trouble is the phone call you didn't want to make, the appointment you've been putting off, the conversation with your grown child that didn't go the way you hoped, the loneliness that shows up at the dinner table when you're sitting there alone. Again. And the quiet is so loud it has its own heartbeat. You don't need me to tell you that life after 50 brings a particular kind of gravity. You've buried people you never imagined living without. You've watched friendships thin out, not from conflict, but from the slow erosion of time. You've felt your body change in ways that remind you the clock is real, and somewhere in all of that, your faith, that thing you've carried since childhood, or found later, or held onto by a thread, your faith has been tested in ways you didn't see coming. I know because the same weariness that brought you here has visited almost everyone your age, and almost no one talks about it honestly. They talk about retirement plans and joint pain and grandkids, but they don't talk about the 2 a.m. conversations with God, where you're not even asking for anything anymore. You're just sitting there, in the dark, hoping the silence means something. Here's what I promise you. By the time we reach the end of this time together, something will have shifted. Not because I'm going to explain anything to you, but because those ancient words, refuge and strength, are going to start moving through your life in a way they never have before. They've been waiting for the right moment, and that moment might be now. But first, I need you to understand something about that weight you're carrying. Something about it that nobody has told you. Something that changes everything about how you've been praying. Why those prayers have felt like they're hitting a wall. And what's actually happening in the silence you've been afraid of. What I'm about to share isn't what you expect. It's not about praying harder. It's not about having more faith. It's about something far more quiet, far more ancient, and far more powerful than anything you've been told. About how God works in the heavy seasons of a life. Here's the thing about that weight you're carrying. The thing nobody has told you. It was never meant to be carried alone. Not by you, not by anyone. And the reason your prayers have felt like they're hitting a wall isn't because God isn't listening. It's because you've been praying the way someone carries a box up a flight of stairs. Gritting your teeth, white-knuckling the corners, refusing to set it down even for a moment, because you're afraid that if you let go, everything will fall apart. Think about a garden in late autumn, not the kind bursting with summer color, the kind that's been through it. The perennials have died back. The leaves that were vivid a month ago are brown and curled on the ground. To anyone passing by, it looks like the garden is finished, done. But underneath the soil, where no one can see, the roots are still alive. They're holding. They're waiting, because the soil knows something the surface doesn't. Winter isn't the end. It's the interval. You are that garden, and the season you're in right now, that heavy, quiet, stripped-down season. It's not punishment. It's not abandonment. It's the interval. The psalmist who wrote those words, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble," knew about intervals. He wasn't writing from a palace. He was writing from inside the kind of trouble that makes your chest tighten. And what he said next is so startling it almost doesn't register the first time. "Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea." Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say the earth won't give way. He didn't say the mountains won't fall. He said, "We will not fear, even when they do." That's not denial. That's the voice of someone who has been through the collapse and discovered something most people never find, because they're too busy trying to prevent it instead of surviving it. You've been trying to prevent the collapse, haven't you? Holding everything together, being the strong one, the one who shows up, the one who doesn't break. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that your job was to keep the earth from giving way, when all along, the prayer was never about keeping the ground steady. It was about finding something unshakable inside you when it wasn't. Let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with this. When was the last time you let yourself fall apart? Really fall apart? Without immediately trying to gather the pieces back together so no one would see. When was the last time you let the earth give way and simply stayed there, in the rubble, in the honest mess of it, without performance, without the cleaned-up version of yourself? Here's what the psalmist discovered long before me. The fortress isn't a place you run to. The fortress is what you find when you stop running. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Not a building, not a wall, a presence, something that was already there, underneath the rubble, waiting for you to stop holding everything together so it could hold you. But there's something else in this psalm, a single verse, quiet as a whisper, that changes everything about how you've been praying. I almost missed it the first dozen times I read it, and when I finally understood what it was saying, I realized that every prayer I'd ever prayed in the dark had been shaped by a misunderstanding I didn't even know I had. The answer is hidden in 3 words. 3 words that most people rush past. But I want to save those 3 words, because I want you to hear them in the right context. And we're not there yet. Let's go back to those 3 words. They're buried in the middle of the same psalm, verse 10. And most people skip right over them on their way to the more dramatic parts. But this verse, this quiet sentence tucked between collapsing mountains and warring nations, holds something that will rearrange the way you've been praying for years. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, that's it. That's the whole revolution. 2 words that are almost impossible for someone like you. Someone who has spent decades being the one who shows up, who holds it together, who makes the calls and pays the bills and checks on everyone else, and keeps the machinery of a life running even when your own heart is sputtering. Be still, as if it were that easy. As if you could just flip a switch in your spirit and stop the churning. But that's not what the psalmist is saying. The Hebrew word there, Rapha, doesn't mean be quiet. It doesn't mean relax. It means to let go, to drop your hands, to release the grip. It's the word used for letting something fall, not carelessly, but intentionally, deliberately. The way you set down something heavy that you've been carrying far too long. Be still doesn't mean stop moving. It means stop holding on so tight. And there's the turn. There's the thing that changes your prayers from walls into doorways. Because every prayer you've prayed in the dark, every desperate, honest 3 a.m. cry, has been a prayer spoken while still gripping, still holding the edges of the situation, still trying to manage the outcome while asking God for help. And the tension between those two things, asking for help while refusing to let go, that's the wall your prayers have been hitting. Not because God isn't listening, because you haven't been able to hear the answer over the sound of your own grip. Think about a river, not a young rushing river, the kind you've seen on maps your whole life. The wide, slow rivers that have been finding their way to the sea for thousands of years. They're not straight. They bend. They curve around obstacles that were there long before anyone was watching. And in those bends, the water slows down. It pools. It gets deeper than anywhere else. And the strange thing is, the river doesn't fight the bend. It doesn't try to cut through the obstacle. It follows the curve. And in following the curve, it finds depths it never would have reached in a straight line. You've been trying to pray in straight lines. You've been trying to get from your pain to your answer as quickly as possible. Shortest distance between 2 points. But God doesn't work in straight lines. God works in bends, in the places where life slows you down, where the obstacle forces you deeper, where the detour becomes the destination. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and figure it out. Not be still and have all the answers. Just know that the same presence that made rivers and roots and the stubborn green things that survive every winter is the presence sitting with you in the dark. The presence that has been there all along, not waiting for you to be strong enough, but waiting for you to be still enough. Here's what begins to happen, and this is where it gets almost too beautiful to explain. When you finally let go, when you finally let your hands drop, the silence that terrified you starts to sound different. It stops being empty and starts being full, not of words, not of answers, but of something older than language, something the psalmist called refuge, something that feels, in your chest, like the first full breath you've taken in months. I told you something would shift by the end of this time together. We're getting closer. But there's one more layer. Something about what happens after the stillness, after the letting go, that I haven't told you yet. Because letting go is only the first half. What comes after is where the real transformation lives. And it's not what you think. Remember what I said, that letting go is only the first half. That what comes after is where the real transformation lives. Here's what nobody tells you about the other side of stillness. We imagine that when we finally let go, when we finally drop our hands and stop gripping, we'll find emptiness, a void. We're afraid that if we stop holding everything together, there won't be anything underneath. Just nothing. But that's not what happens. Think about the hands of someone who has lived over 50 years on this earth. Your hands. Look at them for a moment. The lines deeper than they used to be. The skin a little thinner, maybe a spot or two that wasn't there before. Those hands have held newborns and held caskets. They've signed documents that changed the course of a life. They've gripped steering wheels on long drives home in the dark. They've been clenched in anger and open in prayer and everything in between. They have aged, yes, but they have not lost their strength. Not the real strength, not the kind that matters, because the strength in your hands was never in the grip. It was in the willingness to open them. That's what the psalmist knew. and it's hidden in a verse that most people read right past on their way to be still. Just 2 verses earlier, there's this image, almost startling in its tenderness. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. A river, not a fortress, not a wall, not something built from stone and effort and willpower. A river, something that moves, that flows, that finds its way through every crack and crevice without forcing anything. The river doesn't fight the rock. It doesn't try to break through it. It simply flows around it, over it, through it, and eventually, the rock that seemed so permanent is worn smooth, rounded, reshaped by something softer than itself. Your prayers, the ones that felt like they were hitting a wall. They were never hitting a wall. They were rivers finding their way around an obstacle you couldn't see past. You just couldn't feel the movement because you were standing too close. The way you can't feel the earth turning beneath your feet, even though it never stops. And here's the part that almost breaks me open every time I read it. The next line, God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Break of day. Not midnight, not the middle of the storm. The break of day. That thin, pale edge of light that appears when the darkness has done its worst and is finally, quietly, beginning to recede. The psalmist isn't promising that the night won't come. He's promising that it won't last. And the help, it doesn't arrive at the beginning of the darkness. It arrives at the edge of it, at the break. You've been in the dark for a while now, maybe a long while, and you've been wondering why God hasn't shown up, when all along, the promise was never for midnight. The promise was for daybreak, and daybreak doesn't come early. It can't. It comes exactly when the night has finished its work. The night has a job, you see. It strips away everything that isn't real, every pretense, every performance, every version of yourself you've been maintaining for other people. In the dark, there's no audience. There's just you and whatever is truly there. Your actual faith, not the faith you show on Sunday. Your actual fear, not the fear you've dressed up as practicality. Your actual need, not the need you've hidden behind being the one everyone else leans on. That's stripping. It feels like loss. It feels like emptiness. But it's preparation. Because something is about to arrive in that space. Something that can only enter when the performance is gone and the pretense has burned away. And all that's left is the raw, honest, trembling truth of who you actually are. What's coming is so much bigger than an answer to your prayer. It's the thing your prayer has been reaching for without knowing its name. And I'm going to tell you what it is, but not yet, because you need to feel it before I name it. And for that, we need to walk just a little further together. So the night has been doing its work, stripping, preparing, making space for something you couldn't receive while your hands were full. And maybe, just maybe, you're beginning to feel the faintest shift, like the first warm wind after a long winter that whispers the ground is thawing even before the green appears. If you're here with me right now, if you've stayed through all of this, you're exactly the kind of person I hoped would find this video. Not someone scrolling past. Someone who is genuinely walking this road. Someone who knows that faith isn't a slogan on a bumper sticker, but a quiet, stubborn fire that burns even when the wood is damp. So I want to ask you something simple. Subscribe to this channel. Come back tomorrow. Not because I need numbers, but because this kind of conversation, this kind of honest space where we talk about the real weight of real faith, it only works if we walk it together. Day by day, there's a new video every day, and each one is built for exactly where you are. You know, someone your age once told me that the difference between being 30 and being 50 plus isn't that you stop feeling things. It's that you finally recognize what's worth feeling. The same is true of faith. The faith you have now, tested and thinned and stretched, is worth more than the faith you had when everything was easy. You know that. I know that. And that shared knowing is why we're having this conversation. But here's where everything converges. Everything I've been building toward. The letting go, the river, the daybreak, the stillness. It all leads to one final revelation. Not a concept, not a teaching. Something that happens inside your chest when you finally understand what the psalmist meant when he said, "The Lord Almighty is with us, not above us, not watching from a distance, with us, in the dark, in the stillness, in the exact place where you thought you were alone." That word, with, is about to change everything. But only if you let me take you to the very end of this. Because what's waiting there isn't just the closing of a prayer. It's the moment the whole psalm, your whole heavy, beautiful, aching life, finally makes sense. Here is where everything lands. Not because I'm about to explain it, but because the pieces, the ones scattered across this time together like seeds across a field, they were always going to come together. Not in my words, in your chest, right about now. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. Do you hear it now? The whole psalm at once, not as words on a page, but as something that has been happening inside you for the last 30 minutes. The mountains were your fears. The surging waters were the nights you couldn't sleep. The earthquake was the life that shifted under your feet when you weren't ready. And the refuge was never a place you had to find. It was the stillness. It was the moment you stopped gripping and let your hands open. The way the psalmist's hands opened when he wrote, "Be still and know that I am God. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day." Break of day. That's where you are, right now, this moment. The thin edge of light after a long, honest night. Not because your circumstances have changed, not because the weight has lifted, but because you finally understand you were never carrying it alone. The river was always moving. The fortress was never a building. It was a presence, and it was with you the whole time, in every dark room, every silent prayer, every morning you woke up tired and still got out of bed anyway. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. With that word, the smallest, most ordinary, most extraordinary word in the entire psalm, not above, not watching from a distance, with, in the stillness, in the letting go, in the rubble and the rebuilding and the ordinary Tuesday mornings when you're just trying to make it to evening. With you, right now, in this breath. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear and burns the shields with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." The war, the one inside you, the one you've been fighting against your own weariness, your own doubt, your own silence, it can stop. Not because you won it, because something larger than the war stepped in and broke the bow and shattered the spear and said, "Enough. You don't have to fight to be loved. You don't have to hold on to be held. Here is what I want you to feel before you understand it. The weight you came here with. It's still there, but it's different now, lighter. Not because anything was taken from you, but because something was added. A presence underneath the weight, holding it with you. The way roots hold the soil on a hillside after a storm. The way the ground holds a seed through the winter until it's ready to become something it couldn't have imagined while still buried. You were never buried. You were planted, and the silence you feared, the silence after your prayers. It was never empty. It was the sound of something vast and patient, sitting with you in the dark, waiting for you to stop gripping long enough to feel the hands that were already there, already holding you, already working in the spaces you couldn't see. The psalm ends with a single quiet command that isn't really a command at all. It's an invitation, the most loving invitation ever spoken to someone who has been carrying too much for too long. Be still and know. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not be strong, not be certain, not be enough. Just be still and know. And in the knowing, find that the strength was never yours to manufacture. It was always a gift, waiting in the stillness, waiting for the break of day, waiting for the exact person you are right now, tired, honest, open-handed, and finally ready to receive what was there all along. If this spoke to something real in you, share it with 5 people you know who are carrying their own invisible weight. Subscribe to this channel, because tomorrow there will be another moment like this one, and the day after, and the day after that. And leave a comment, not about what you think, but about what you felt. What shifted? What broke open? What found its way home? And if there's something you're carrying that you wish someone would make a video about, tell me. I'm listening. The way someone has been listening to you all along.